तो अभी का तो स्टार्ट अभी होगा, ठीक है, रिकॉर्डिंग स्टार्टेड। तो आई एम नॉट actually going and showing how you actually go and enroll a device, क्योंकि I believe everyone has at least for one time enrolled their devices, so you know how you download company portal app and what are the steps that you go through to enroll a device, right? Right ki wrong? सबका डिवाइस एनरोल्ड है ना एटलीस्ट?
हाँ
हाँ
एनरोल
जा
तो है।
वी एनरोल्ड एज यस।
हाँ, और खुद ही किए थे ना, तो स्टेप्स तो मालूम है ना क्या क्या होता है।
हाँ किया तो था।
ओके, सो द फर्स्ट स्टेप ऑफ एनरोलमेंट क्या होता है, व्हाट इज दैट?
क्लाइंट इनिशियलाइजेशन।
उसमें आप क्या करते हो? व्हाट डू यू डू इन क्लाइंट इनिशियलाइजेशन?
Normally, client is initialized through APNS to get the device ID registered and get the token device ID token from the APNS.
ओके, सो फर्स्ट इज क्लाइंट इनिशियलाइजेशन, नेक्स्ट इज
Authentication authorization.
नेक्स्ट,
Mm, Next is enroll. I think it's enrollment.
ओके, एंड नेक्स्ट
DRS.
डिवाइस रजिस्ट्रेशन सर्विसेज,
Yes.
बट दिस इज फॉर एप्पल ओनली।
Yes, it's for Apple, and one more case is for hybrid Azure AD joint. I think that MDM comes first prior to Azure DRS.
हाँ, for every other scenario, like for in Android and normal Windows, everything, Azure AD DRS comes first before MDM enrollment. So we will start with client initialization. Uh, User goes to the App Store, installs the company portal app, as I said. When the user starts the company portal app for the first time on the device, this is when the company portal reaches out to the Apple push notification services to request a registration for a APNS token. The company portal receives the push notification token and saves it in its cache, which it will later send to Microsoft Intune for device enrollment purposes. It does not send the token to Microsoft Intune at that moment. It stores in cache. That is why I have represented that line as a dotted line to Microsoft Intune. So it will do it later, with of which Intune will be able to reach out to APNS to initiate a communication with the device. Because I told last day as well, like if Intune has to reach out to the device, it cannot directly reach out to the device. It has to go via the Apple push notification services. Now, if without a token, Intune goes to APNS that say I need to talk with this device, how will APNS know which device Intune will want to talk with? That is where this token comes in. So this is device specific, and this token Intune presents to APNS, so APNS know which device Intune is talking about. Right? So we are done with the client initialization. This is all that happens in client initialization. Nothing more. And once this is done, is when you get the sign in page on the company portal app, and that starts the authentication and authorization flow. So with the APNS registration token now with company portal app, it will go and try reach out to the Azure Active Directory to retrieve the authentication endpoints for the tenant, and it gives you the sign-in screen. The user puts the credential obviously here. So once I put my email address in there or UPN in there, authentication response is sent to Azure AD, a part of which is home realm discovery. We will come to that later. And uh, based on the response that Azure Active Directory has received from the application, it will send a authentication outcome, which is either success or failed. And if it is a success, then it will provide it with the ID token and the access token back. So that is what the authentication and authorization is in a short, this is the overview actually. But if we go into details, then actually this happens. So when you click on the sign in, uh, it basically goes and gets the OpenID configuration of the portals. Once the OpenID configurations are retrieved is actually when you get the sign in screen. This is again another GET request. When you enter the credentials, it will do the home realm discovery as I said. So home realm discovery is nothing but it checks whatever is after at the rate if that domain exists or not. If the domain exists, then a channel is established with that particular tenant, and from there on the communication is not to uh, a generalized URL, but it will be specific to that particular tenant. And with this home realm discovery also, Azure AD gets to know whether the authentication authorization will be happening in Azure, means it's either not a synced domain, means you do not have on premises, or if you have on premises synced Active Directory, then you are doing a password hash sync, means Azure AD will be doing the authentication. So it's Azure STS or Secure Token Services. If you are not using Azure AD as your authentication endpoint, it might go to your federation services, so it can go to ADFS. Or if it is a pass-through authentication, like you are falling back your authentication back to your on-premises Active Directory, then it's a Kerberos-based authentication. So either ways, wherever the authentication happens, the response is collated, and the user sign-in gets completed with the company portal getting back a ID token. That's the authentication flow of company portal in details. But actually, like, this is the authentication flow for anything. Like if you remove the company portal app, the company portal app is just an application that is requesting for a authentication. You can replace it with anything and the authentication flow will remain same. This is how it happens. Any questions here?
So Joy, is Kerberos also working in case of Intune?
Hmm. Why not? Kerberos authentication will happen, and then Azure AD will get a SAML response back, and that SAML token will be provided back to company portal. In the case of ADFS also, it is a SAML token. In case of only Azure STS, it's a uh, OAuth token, because this is purely cloud only authentication. So cloud authentication, you get a OAuth token back. But ADFS and Kerberos both are on premises. And in this case, this response line that is going back is a SAML response back to the service. So the SAML response is going back to Azure Active Directory and Azure Active Directory. See, even if your authentication is happening in on premises, the response, who is the one who is getting the request? ऑथेंटिकेशन रिक्वेस्ट कहाँ पे जा रहा है पहले?
Azure AD.
Majority.
एज्योर एडी को ऑथेंटिकेशन रिस्पांस रिक्वेस्ट जा रहा है, तो ऑथेंटिकेशन का रिस्पांस भी एज्योर एडी ही देगा. बट ये है कि एज्योर एडी खुद ऑथेंटिकेशन कर रहा है कि नहीं कर रहा है, दैट इज अ क्वेश्चन. If Azure AD itself is doing the authentication, that is the Azure STS, then it's happening in cloud and the response will be a OAuth token. OAuth token हो कि SAML token हो, ID token आपको मिलेगा. ID token में मैं बाद में जा रहा हूँ. You will get the ID token. But in case it's a cloud only authentication, Azure STS is doing it, you will get a OAuth token back. If your authentication is not happening in Azure Active Directory, Azure Active Directory is passing that to where? It is passing that to your federation server, or it is passing that to your on-premises domain controller. तो ये ऑथेंटिकेशन करके आ रहा है, तो इधर पे जब ये भेजा तो वापस इसको रेस्पॉन्स तो इधर पे ही मिलेगा ना. That response back is a SAML token. And then Azure Active Directory, again, based on that SAML token, if the SAML token says that yes, this authentication is good, then Azure Active Directory will issue the ID token. But ID token issuer is always Azure Active Directory, not ADFS and Kerberos. But your authentication is happening in here. समझे?
Joy, one question. Last slide में you return back with two tokens. I think ID plus access token. तो ये जो Java Web token है, does it consist both or या ये सिर्फ access token ही होता है? ये
ID
अपने
token plus access token, right? This one that I showed.
Yes, yes.
Actually, access token is already a part of the ID token. So you get a ID token plus इधर पे मेरा गलती है. This should not be access token. This a refresh token that you get. Refresh token का क्या काम है?
वो वेरीफाई करते रहता है ऑथेंटिक मतलब
Authentication with Azure.
ऑथराइजेशन.
Yeah,
With
the
Azure
access
AD.
token that you get, the access token that you get is time limited. Uh, that is valid for a particular amount of time. When that access token expires, will it throw up another authentication prompt to the user? That's annoying, right? You are in the middle of the work and you keep getting an authentication prompt every 1 hour. That is annoying. That is what the refresh token does. It tries to renew the authentication silently without knowing the user. But if somehow the refresh token is not able to renew the authentication, then it will fall back to a user sign in method again and you will be prompted. ये कब होता है? Say in case you are working with your device and you feel that your device or application is hanging and you clear the app data or clear the app cache. When you do that, your refresh token is gone, your access token is gone, but the current session is still valid for the authentication period of that access token, so it will not ask for an authentication immediately. But as soon as the access token expires, it will try to look for a refresh token. It will see that there is no refresh token available in the app cache. It will prompt you to sign in. That is how it works. So that is an ID token plus a refresh token.
Joy, one question. Suppose I have got this sign in page in on which for home real discovery, but I have not put that my credentials for a long period of time.
Hmm.
Would there be this refresh token or a prem will get expired, or will again prompt me to go back and come back on the same stage? Means I left it for 1 hour, 2 hours, supposedly endlessly, and I came back again. I want to. Will
N-
it go from the
No,
same
if you
stage? From
keep the sign in page, if you keep it in the sign in stage, like you have not entered your credentials, you keep it open for how many hours, it does not matter. When you come and enter your credentials, it will start from the home realm discovery. But now say you have entered your UPN, it has done the home realm discovery, and it is now asking for the password and you have not entered the password. You leave it aside. You come back after 1 hour and then enter the password. Your session, like login session, will time out. It will ask you to do it from beginning again. Till the time you have not entered your credentials, like it's in like this, it's okay. But you entered your credential, you proceed to the next step, and it is now asking for your password and you are delaying on that, then the session will get expire. Because when it does the home realm discovery, I told, the point it does the home realm discovery is after that the dedicated tenant session starts. Till the home realm discovery is not done, your request is hitting the general endpoint, the generalized, like login.microsoft.com. But after you enter the credential and your home realm discovery is done, your login.microsoft.com will change to login.microsoft.com slash the tenant ID that is yours. And the session has now started. If you keep it waiting there, then the session will time out.
okay, okay. And is there a
Hmm.
duration defined for that, Joy? Uh, or it is random?
Mm, it's random.
George, I have one question. Can you go back to the previous slide? Sorry for asking.
Yeah, no issues.
So, Joy, I have a new phone, Joy, iPhone. Okay. So,
Mhm.
so this is a screen I'm getting. I download from the company portal from the App Store. Okay.
Mm.
So, how what information actually the Azure Active Directory will verify, Joy, here? Because I'm not enrolled my UPIN ID or anything on this company portal right now. So, what information will check actually in the Azure Active Directory here?
You have not enrolled your device, but
Yes.
this point is currently not checking your device. So it is not checking your device. It's basically starting the user verification.
Okay.
So it's asking you to sign in because it wants to check whether you have the permissions. That is why in the sign in, you have
Mhm.
to enter your credential. Your credentials are verified. That is first the authentication. And then there happens the authorization. Do you have the licenses? Do you
Mhm.
have the right to use the services?
Okay. So,
Say your authentication can be verified, like your authentication is good, but you
mhm.
do not have an authorization, means you do not have a license. The authentication outcome that Azure Active Directory will send to company portal will help company portal to deliver that error message to the device that you please check, you may not have a license assigned, or the device limit is reached, or things like that.
Okay, got it. So what device token, I think, but is it like in autopilot, let the hardware hash have some information for the device? The same thing, the company portal will send any information to the APNs?
No, at this
Uh,
moment, no.
no, no. Okay.
At this moment, no.
Okay. Thanks, Joy.
For APNS, this token, if you are talking about,
Yes, Joy. Registration device
then
token.
this token will like company portal will send the serial number of the device to APNS.
Okay.
Based on the serial number, the APNS will return a token back to company portal so that company portal later can provide that to Intune, as I said, so that when Intune needs to communicate it back, if it needs to reach out to your device, Intune identifies you as a user because Intune has access to Azure Active Directory because it is providing the identity and access management services to Intune, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Wait. You are a user. You have a UPN. This UPN is coming from
Azure AD.
Azure Active Directory, right?
Yes.
You now enroll a device, an iOS device that is managed with Intune.
So,
So this device has a device ID here because of enrollment.
mhm,
This device will also have a device ID here because of enrollment. So Intune can either know the device or identify the device by this device ID, or it can use this device ID, or it also has access to this UPN. So it can check what devices this UPN has. So Intune has a means of identification, three ways to identify a device.
okay.
But I said like Intune cannot directly go ahead and communicate with this device. For that, it will need a third party service for Apple, that is APNS.
Yeah, nice.
So when Intune reaches out to this device APNS and say, hey, I want to talk to this device, ki I want to talk to this device, how will APNS know which device is this? APNS does not have access to here. APNS does not have access to this. APNS neither has access to this. That is why company portal during the enrollment, company portal during the enrollment takes the serial number of the device, goes and registers that to APNS, based on which APNS sends a token back. That is the
Okay.
APNS registration token. When the enrollment finally happens, company portal goes and updates this device ID with this token. So now Intune also has the device ID by the registration, and this device ID also has the APNS token.
Okay.
So when now Intune has to talk to this device, it will go and search the device ID, take the APNS token and use that APNS token to make this communication to APNS. Now, because this token is what APNS originally created, so APNS know which device it needs to talk to. And that is how APNS delivers the push notification.
Okay.
Fine.
Yes, Joy. Understood. Thank you.
Okay. Next is okay. Authentication is fine also. So we get a ID token back, right? So from here on, how the ID token looks like is this. This is what the ID token looks like. So it has the access token. It also has a refresh token. It's a bearer token. What do you mean by a bearer? A bearer means like this token is itself not a token, but this token contains other tokens within itself. So a bearer token is a carrier token because it is carrying the access token, the refresh token, and the ID token. It's in the form of Java Web uh, Java Web Tool, I think. JWT. No, Java Web Token. It's a JWT. As I said, access token is valid for 1 hour. A default validity of refresh token is 90 days, but it can be revoked by the admin or when the user resets the password via SSPR, the refresh token is negated. The other way to negate a refresh token is by clearing the application cache. If you delete the app cache or app data, the refresh token is lost. So it's a Java Web Token means it will have a header, it will have a payload, and it will have a signature. Now, if we uh, expand every of them, then this is how a token looks like. So it will have a audience, the AUD. This identifies the service that you are trying to authenticate for. This is not the service that you are trying to authenticate to. It's the service that you are trying to authenticate for. So if it's Microsoft Intune, then audience will be Intune. If it's Teams, it will be Teams. If it's anything else, it will be that. Issuer is your who is issuing this token. So for this, this is sts.windows.net tenant ID. So your Azure AD tenant is the issuer. Issued at is the time when this token is issued at. Not before is the time, which means like you cannot use this token before this time. And then it also has the expiry time mentioned. So it's when the token expires. Then it has the authentication methods that are used for the authentication. So if it was a password or based authentication, then it will have PWD field. If it was a strong authentication, then it will have MFA. If it was a certificate based authentication, then it will have RSA. Then the application ID. This application ID is the application that is requesting that authentication. So for company portal, this will be company portal. For any other application, it will be that. CNF, this particular field is opaque. So this is something that we cannot decode. This is typical to Azure Active Directory. So only Azure Active Directory is able to see this value, what this stands for. We don't know this. And then it will have the user UPN. And if you are doing it on a Windows device, this token will contain three additional fields. Those are the MDM terms of use URL, the MDM enrollment URL, and the user settings in URL. In case of Android and iOS, these three fields are not there in the token. So for Windows, it comes this, and this is how your uh, authentication token looks like. Uh, if you want to see it yourself, you can easily do that. Uh, what is the URL for graph? ग्राफ एपीआई का यूआरएल क्या है ग्राफ एक्सप्लोरर का यूआरएल क्या है
developer.microsoft.com.
हैं
Yes.
कहाँ से भाई ये किधर पे साइन हो रहा है अरे इधर मत साइन हो जा रुको।
आप एक्सप्लोर के लिए
अरे इधर क्यों जा रहा है ये ग्राफ एक्सप्लोरर I just did signed in and if you see you have an access token point in here so you can just copy this access token and then go into any JWT token viewer that is available online free में जो भी मिल जाए that is good you can open that and you have this encoded and decoded field in here so you delete what is in there paste the token that you get in there and you can see the decoded access token that you have right so audience it is this id this GUID basically specifies the graph explorer application issuer is again assure ad as I said issued at not before expiry is there um, AIO is there so it was password based authentication along with RSA because I also do have FIDO2 keys enabled for my account so it comes in there app display name is graph explorer so graph explorer was the sign in initiator and then the user obviously I am the user you get the family name given name id type is user so if the id type also this is also one good thing so whether this is a user authenticating or a device authentication you can get this from here and then scp you see this value these are all the permissions that are assigned to this particular account so from here this is how this access token knows like whether you have the required permission to enroll a device or not. So you see all this device management reads rates and things like here that is in there और क्या है इसमें और ज्यादा कुछ नहीं है हाँ and since this authentication was from this application and not from a Windows thing so वो तीन URL इधर पे नहीं है जैसे मैंने बताया बस this is how you decode a access token done any questions
Joy, I have one question here.
Hmm.
So you told that during this authentication phase sign in कर लिया, it goes to Azure AD and then it comes back. मान लो हमारा sign in request is not incorrect, yeah, due to some issue, or I don't have the correct permissions for my device to get registered on that,
Enrolled.
enrolled. तो ये जो payload में हमें ये दिखेगा कहीं error, मतलब company portal तो मुझे error shoot करेगा, but if I want to decode it, can it show me any error in that also?
Nah.
Okay.
Payload will not contain any error because यहाँ पे जैसे मैंने तुमको बताया और जैसे मैंने दिखाया, this payload will contain all the permissions that is in here. So once company portal is getting this access token, it will check if the required permissions that is needed is present in the scope or not. If the permission is not present, then it will throw a error that you do not have, like either license is not there or something like that.
बट यहाँ से हम
क्योंकि
डिकोड नहीं कर सकते क्योंकि सेम टोकन इज गेटिंग थ्रू योर कंपनी पोर्टल व्हिच बाय व्हिच इज
हाँ
थ्रोइंग एन एरर.
हाँ, company portal is throwing the error. The token is not throwing the error.
Okay, okay.
Company portal is requesting for authentication and authorization. If your authentication is bad itself, then there is an error in here. Payload. There are two parts when you authenticate and when you authorize. Authentication is what? Verification of your credentials. Whether you put the correct password, whether you put the correct PIN. That is your authentication. If that is not done, then the payload will say password does not match. There will be error in this field. But if your authentication is correct, authorization phase has no error. Authorization is just providing whatever rights you have. Now company portal is the requester, so company portal will get this token, and now company portal has to review whether the required rights are present in the scope that is there in the token. And based on this, company portal will throw out a error. Not this token will not throw out a error.
Okay, okay.
Done. Next is, so the company portal now has the ID token, access token, and it also has the APNS token. So the next thing that for a iOS device it does is it goes for the MDM enrollment. For Android and normal Windows Azure AD enrollment, it will go for a Azure AD device registration service. That's the difference. But we are talking about iOS. So we will see company portal will then initiate an enrollment request with Microsoft Intune. Microsoft Intune will create the corresponding Intune device ID. It will push out a remote management profile which will get downloaded on the device. You will need to install the management profile, and from there, once again, you complete like as I said, user has to explicitly install, and then uh, once you install the enrollment completes, uh, the next step is that it goes to Azure AD device registration. So next, what it will do is Intune will go ahead and communicate to Azure Active Directory to correspond the or to populate the corresponding Azure AD device ID for this device, and the device will do a workplace join. The device ID will get populated. Fine. With this, finally, the Intune device ID will lastly get updated. And that is how the enrollment completes. So if I have to look into whatever that is happening for a iOS device enrollment from the last to the end. Now we were going in part by part. Now if I have to look it from the last till the end, then this is how it looks. This is the end-to-end flow. Now you guys will say that I haven't numbered or like sequence में मैंने numbering नहीं किया. How we will decipher? मैंने चारों part अच्छे से explain किया. So you should be able to decipher from where the flow is going to where. But still, ठीक है. तुम लोगों के लिए I can do the sequencing. So this is what happens first. User installs company portal. Uh, Then it goes to register with the APNS. In return, gets the APNS registration token. Then it goes for the authentication phase where it retrieves the authentication endpoints and presents the user with the sign-in screen. User provides the credential. Uh, Authentication response is sent to Azure AD. Authentication Azure AD authentication and authorization verify करके sends the authentication outcome back to company portal. So the company portal now has the ID token access token with which Intune then initiates an enrollment request for which the Intune device ID gets created. Intune pushes out the remote management profile to the devices. Um User installs the remote management profile and then it initiates for the Azure AD device registration. Device does the workplace join, and finally, with device doing the workplace join, the final enrollment state of the device is updated. Done.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the common errors that you get during iOS enrollment are this. I haven't seen any other errors that can happen during the enrollment of a device. So one is couldn't enroll your device. Company portal is temporarily unavailable. Device limit reached and the profile installation failed. Uh, have you seen any other errors? तुम लोगों ने इसके अलावा और कोई एरर देखे हो? वाह भाई. Hello, 1 2 3.
हाँ Joy.
Have you seen any other errors?
So Joy, in the past, I
मेरा भी
seen
तो
one.
knowledge enhance करो.
So I seen one error in the past, Joy, regarding enrollment profile. So when we click install the enrollment profile, so it got failed to install it.
हाँ तो
I
profile
saw.
installation failed.
That was which I was saying. Okay, okay. Profile installation already is pasted here. Okay.
So what
Sure. um,
troubleshoot? हाँ, tell.
I was thinking, so I was just bifurcating because of your last slide. If I want to bifurcate the errors on the stages.
Hmm.
So if this device limit reached will be during your access ID token that you come back to the company portal and then will shoot an error. A device limit reached this
No.
error. No.
If I have to bifurcate from here,
Mhm.
अरे मैं बहुत पहले
Wait,
आ गया,
just
रुको.
पीछे वाली.
फर्स्ट स्टेज क्लाइंट इनिशियलाइजेशन. इस पे कोई एरर होना नहीं चाहिए. देयर शुडंट बी एनी एरर एट दिस स्टेज बिकॉज at this stage it is only talking to APNS. The only error that can happen is like if you do not have a network, it will not be able to reach out to APNS, so it will not get a device registration token from APNS. So client initialization hoga nahi. That is the only thing possible. Authentication authorization phase, the only error that can happen is you are not licensed. Auth- and the other error that can happen is you are providing a wrong credential. That is what can happen in authentication and authorization. During the MDM enrollment stage, so at after this stage, company portal has the access token. The access token is what? Access token gives access, like gives it access to a new service. So with the access token, it will go to Intune and try and send the MDM enrollment request. When the MDM enrollment request is received by Intune, it is then the device limit, device platform, and all those restrictions are checked. Whether you have reached your device limit or not, whether this platform is enabled for enrollment or not, and things like that. Profile install failure will also be a error at the MDM enrollment stage because the profile is being pushed out by Intune. And last stage is the Azure AD DRS when the workplace join might fail. How the workplace join might fail is you also have set a limit in your Azure Active Directory, so the MDM enrollment is successful, but your Azure AD device limit is now reached. So it cannot do a workplace join. That is how. So that is how you bifurcate the errors in the stages. Clear?
But in case in case the service is down with one of your fourth, what stage it will fall in that probably?
In case the service is down, like if Intune service is down, then it will
MDM enroll.
fail after authentication
Okay.
because Azure AD is performing the authentication. It is doing its job correctly. Now the next service is down. So it will go here and come fail here. If Azure AD device registration service is down, then MDM enrollment will happen, but workplace join will not happen and it will fail in here. In such cases, you will be if your enrollment is successful, but the workplace join does not happen. In such a failure, you will be left with a stale device entry in Intune. Like Intune का तो device ID create हो गया, Azure AD का device ID create नहीं हुआ.
Correct. Either it will clean up by device cleanup rule in that case, or या हमें
हाँ.
delete करना पड़ेगा. ठीक.
तो कॉमन ट्रबल शूटिंग स्टेप्स में हम लोग क्या क्या चेक कर सकते हैं? व्हाट शुड वी स्टार्ट विद?
License of the
Since
users, limit means the Azure AD. What is this? Any platform restriction if the device have.
The first thing that we should check is whether the MDM authority of the tenant is set to Intune or not. वो फर्स्ट चेक होता है. MDM authority is set to Intune, then we will have to ensure that the company name that is created in Azure does not have any special characters. Next is license, then is APNS, then is enrollment restrictions, and then is For iOS and iPadOS device, we need to ensure that Safari is set as the default browser with cookies enabled. So these are all that we can ensure to have a smooth enrollment. हो गया?
Any ports
याद
join?
रहेगा?
Join
Any ports?
means firewall proxy ports that we need to ensure are मतलब that we need to also check as a part of prerequisite in case of error.
Okay. अच्छा, तो पहले मुझको ये बताओ, ये जो नहीं इसमें, अरे फिर से इतना पीछे मुझे लेके जाओगे, ये बहुत गलत है तुम लोगों पे। एक मिनट रुको, अरे बंदो, ये जो डायग्राम था जो मैंने दिखाया था, that is how Intune communicates, right? So what port needs to be open between Intune and APNS?
443.
हाँ,
443 होगा दोनों, ये भी क्लाउड सर्विस है।
see this is the problem। अभी भी बहुत कोई इंटरव्यू में ये क्वेश्चन पूछता है कि what ports do I need to open for APNS and Microsoft Intune to work? ये क्वेश्चन ही गलत है। Because Microsoft Intune is a service that is managed by Microsoft, APNS is a service that is managed by Apple। इन दो सर्विसेज के बीच में हम लोग का मैनेजमेंट का लेयर ही नहीं है। वी कैन नॉट डू एनीथिंग विद दिस कि हम लोग इस दोनों के बीच में पोर्ट ओपन करें। वी आर नॉट इन दैट पोजीशन। एप्पल अपने तरफ से इधर से फायरवॉल पोर्ट्स को मेंटेन करता है, माइक्रोसॉफ्ट अपने तरफ से इधर पे मेंटेन करता है, एंड दे बोथ ट्रस्ट ईच अदर एंड दे नो दिस सर्विसेज आर रिक्वायर्ड, सो देयर पोर्ट्स आर ऑलरेडी ओपन फॉर दिस कम्युनिकेशन। ये क्वेश्चन वैलिड कब था? दिस क्वेश्चन वाज वैलिड प्रीवियसली, जब एयरवॉच होता था या फिर तुम्हारे ऑन प्रेमाइसेस एमडीएम सॉल्यूशंस होते थे, देन यू हैव अ सर्वर built in your on premises and you need that server to talk to APNS. You have your firewall, then you need to open the firewall ports to have APNS communicate with each other। वो 5226 5228 जो भी था, ठीक है। When we are talking about SaaS services only, like fully cloud scenarios, we do not manage the ports। तो कोई पोर्ट ओपन करने की जरूरत नहीं है। नाउ फॉर आवर डिवाइस, ये डिवाइस, फॉर दिस डिवाइस टू कम्युनिकेट विद बोथ इंट्यून एंड एपीएनएस, पोर्ट 443 इज एनफ। और पोर्ट 443 सब जगह में ओपन रहता है। बिकॉज 443 ओपन नहीं रहेगा तो तुम्हारा इंटरनेट काम नहीं करेगा, राइट?
यस यस।
ओके, समझा? क्लियर हुआ? तो नेक्स्ट टाइम इंटरव्यू में किसी को पूछना नहीं कि व्हाट पोर्ट डू आई नीड टू गेट ओपन फॉर एपीएनएस। मेरा जैसा बंदा होगा तो तुम्हारा इंटरव्यू ले लेगा।
लेकिन डिवाइस और एपीएनएस के बीच में जो है,
डिवाइस और एपीएनएस के बीच में मैंने क्या बोला? व्हाट पोर्ट नीड्स टू बी ओपन?
5223
व्हाई?
एज अ फॉल बैक पोर्ट।
ना, 443 इज एनफ।
इंटरनेट के लिए ना।
पुश नोटिफिकेशन आ रहा है भाई, इंटरनेट, इट्स अ वेब मैसेज। 443 is enough. अगर 443 port open है, your device can communicate with Intune as well as APNS or any service.
So, matlab, in case अगर somebody asks me that what ports are open, then I could straightforward say 443 is the one that we need to have. We don't need an extra
हाँ,
port available to be opened for this service.
yes. For devices to communicate with APNS, we only need port 443 to be opened. The ports between Microsoft Intune and APNS are not managed by us that we can configure. Those are already managed services and they have their communications established by the service providers. Done?
Okay, Joy. Sure. Thank you.
नहीं डाउट है तो बोलो.
नहीं डाउट था क्योंकि कई बार डिस्कशंस में होता है कि
वो
कोई कहता है
5226 5228 फिर तुम्हारा और भी पोर्ट्स थे. अभी मुझे पूरा याद नहीं है. समथिंग 31 करके भी कुछ पोर्ट था. अभी मुझे उतना
टू
याद नहीं है.
टू
मेरा
वन नाइन फाइव
सौरभ से भी
टू
हाँ
डिस्कशन हो रहा था इस
219.
टॉपिक पे.
हाँ 2195 2196 2197 एंड उधर पे 5228 5227 ये सारे पोर्ट्स थे. बट दीज ऑल पोर्ट्स वेर रिक्वायर्ड टू बी ओपन व्हेन यू हैड अ ऑन प्रेमाइसेस एमडीएम सॉल्यूशन. जैसे तुम्हारा वर्कस्पेस वन नहीं, वर्कस्पेस वन इज क्लाउड. एयर वॉच में होता था.
वॉच में होता था, ब्लैकबेरी जो भी ऑन प्रीमिसेस वाले थे वहां पर जरूरत पड़ती थी. Now currently there are only two ports, 443 2197 by default is opened and 5223 between device and APNS.
5223 फॉल्स इन दी नोन रेंज. वो सारे पोर्ट्स ओपन ही रहते हैं.
में 443 है तो yes that works as well, but अगर कहीं
फोर
पर
फोर थ्री और 80 मतलब 80 तो यूज नहीं होता है. बिकॉज अभी कहाँ एच टी टी पी में काम नहीं होता है. एच टी टी पी ऐसी सब जगह काम होता है. तो 443 ओपन है तो यू आर गुड. बस.
हाँ, पुश नोटिफिकेशन के लिए कभी पूछते हैं तो जीएमएस जो है जो जीएम मैनेज गूगल सर्विसेज उसका 5228 रहेगा एंड फॉर WNS इट्स 443.
सारे के लिए 443 है.
हम्म.
सारे के लिए 443 है. वो कुछ अलग नहीं. वो गूगल अरे गूगल मैनेज सर्विस नहीं बे. एफसीएम फायर बेस क्लाउड मैसेजिंग.
हाँ यस, फायरबेस क्लाउड मैसेजिंग, यस FCM.
उसका पहले कुछ और नाम था.
GMS से पहले था GMS.
हाँ गूगल नहीं, गूगल मोबाइल सर्विसेज तो अभी भी है.
नहीं, GMC.
जीएमएस नहीं. अभी क्या है? फायरबेस क्लाउड मैसेजिंग एफसीएम. जीसीएम था गूगल क्लाउड मैसेजिंग.
हम्म.
फिर उसने उसको फायरबेस क्लाउड मैसेजिंग पे चेंज किया. ठीक है. तुम लोग को आईओएस के एनरोलमेंट हो गया. नेक्स्ट है एबीएम का एनरोलमेंट कैसे होता है. बट एबीएम के एनरोलमेंट मैं दिखा नहीं पाऊंगा अगेन बिकॉज क्यों नहीं दिखा पाऊंगा? अरे कोई बोलो क्यों नहीं दिखा पाऊंगा एबीएम का एनरोलमेंट. एबीएम का पोर्टल एक्सेस तो है मेरे पास लेकिन मैं एनरोलमेंट क्यों नहीं दिखा पाऊंगा?
But you said tenant is already registered, right? Right, Joy, that is what you said.
एबीएम का एनरोलमेंट आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स होता है.
Okay.
उस वो एनरोलमेंट जो है उसका स्क्रीन मिरर करके मैं आप लोगों को दिखा नहीं पाऊंगा जैसे मैं अभी स्क्रीन मिरर करके दिखा सकता था. तो दैट इज व्हाई आई कांट शो यू एन एबीएम एनरोलमेंट. बट उसमें जो भी प्रोसेसेस है, क्या प्रोसेस फॉलो होगा, मैं सब कुछ बताऊंगा उसमें. बट बिफोर दैट एक छोटा सा ब्रेक लेते हैं. 5 मिनट्स.
अरे
और
अगर
आज
तुम्हारे पास डिवाइस ऑलरेडी है तो तुम वीडियो
हाँ,
ऑन कर लो ना फिर।
नहीं तो फिर तो मुझे डिवाइस को एवीएम में डालना भी पड़ेगा, वो और एक
मतलब
झंझट है।
मतलब वो है। यस।
तो मैं कैसे करते हैं वो प्रोसेस है सब कुछ दिखाता हूँ, ताकि तुम लोग जब काम करोगे तो यू विल बी एबल टू हैंडल दैट। सिर्फ एक्चुअल डिवाइस को ऑन करके जो स्क्रीन्स आता है वो मैं नहीं दिखा पाऊंगा, बट एवरीथिंग एल्स आई विल शो। एंड नाउ आज हम लोग थोड़ा एक्सटेंड करेंगे 4 बजे के बाद भी, बिकॉज आज मुझे पूरा एप्पल खत्म करना है। ओके,
Sure, sure.
5 मिनट का ब्रेक।
ठीक है।